Okay, we are live. Good morning, everyone. Welcome today to our masterclass at our Female Entrepreneurship Support Program. And with me here, we have Ayokanmi Ayuba, Katlego Mokgethi, and we have Nanko Madu from AfriLabs. I would introduce them in a bit. But first of all, we would like you to introduce yourself in the chat box as we go on. Okay, so I would start with a brief introduction of our presenters that will be here. They are mentors, so you could also still go on later on and book appointments with them once their schedules come up. So I'll start this with a brief presentation. So today what we'll be having is our business strategy and how to evaluate your business ideas. And first off, like I said, we have Ayokanmi Ayuba. She's the Deputy Country Director and the Director of Programs at TechnoServe. And we also have Katlego Mokgethi. She's the CEO of the Van der Kat Group. So I'll just take a brief the profile for Katlego. Like I said, she's the CEO of the Van der Kat Group, and that is a wholly female, Black female investment company, and it deals with real estate and waste management subsidies. She holds an associate degree in accounting from Botswana Accountancy College. And she also has a certificate in social innovation from the University of Cape Town and a certificate in real estate program from Bar Isago University. She's a thought leader and she aspires to synergize her passion for real estate and entrepreneurship development to build a formidable empire. You're very welcome, Katlego, once again.
Thank you so much for having me. How's my sound?
Yes, your sound is really good.
Okay.
Also, we have Ayokanmi Ayuba with us. Ayokanmi is the Deputy Country Director and the Director of Programs at TechnoServe, and that is an international non-profit organization that applies a private sector approach in addressing poverty and improving incomes and livelihoods of farmers and entrepreneurs around developing worlds. She's responsible for ensuring that the organization delivers its mission and its vision in Nigeria. She's highly skilled and she's a very resourceful professional business leader. She has over 25 years experience working across different industry sectors, including ICT, professional services, and in construction. And her strengths also lies with program development, implementation, strategy, and business development and business development. And so before we go on, I would also like to introduce Nanko Madu. Nanko is the Senior Programs Manager at AfriLabs. And she has over 8 years experience in economic development, entrepreneurship, and public health. She is the lead of the AfriLabs Capacity Building Programme that targets strengthening and capabilities of tech hubs in Africa. And this program at the moment is being sponsored by the AfriLabs Capacity Building Programme. And the program, we are holding it in collaboration with Junub Open Space. So it's a collaboration between Junub Open Space and TechQuest. Thank you very much. You're very welcome. I am Nanko. Hello, Nanko, can you hear us? I think your audio is on mute. Hello, Nanko. So the audio is at the top, the button at the top, the microphone at the top. No, we can't hear you yet. So it's at the top button, the second button to the left at the top. Okay, so while we would wait for Namco to... Namco, can you hear us now? Okay, we will sort that in a moment. But while we wait to solve this technical issue, we will go on and we will have our first speaker, Ayokanmi, to tell you about her experiences and her expertise. So Ayokanmi, over to you.
Thank you very much, Ito. And hello, everybody. Hello, female entrepreneurs. It's a beautiful morning, and I am so honored to be able to share with all of you. So I'll go quickly into what I wanted to share around evaluating ideas and strategy. So I understand that, we have 3 categories of female entrepreneurs in this meeting or in this session. So we have females that are looking to starting a business. We have females, women, ladies who have already started a business probably within the last 2 or so years. And then we have already established businesses, maybe 3 to 5, 3 onwards. So what I'm going to say today, I'm just going to try and ensure that what I speak to today actually relates, so you can relate regardless of which of the segments you are in. So basically a business. So what is a business? Really, let's look at it in very, very simple terms. A business is really, apart from the normal, definitions, the dictionary definition of a business, providing income, something that generates income, a business simply addresses a problem. That is really what a business is all about. A business is set up to address specific problems. And in addressing those specific problems, you are able to generate an income or a revenue from that. So there is a cost to solving the problem, and there is a profit also to solving the problem. Now, we talk about strategy. What is strategy? Simply means the how. A business strategy is always hinged on a vision. What is the vision? And how are we going to attain that vision? That is a strategy. So I'll give an example. In Nigeria, for instance, I live in Lagos and I'm going to the next state, right? Or I'm going to the town called Ibadan. Ibadan is about 120 kilometers from Lagos, right? But because there are bad roads, I sit in Lagos and say, how am I going to get to Ibadan? There are 3 options to get to Ibadan. The first option is to take the roads that everybody takes to Ibadan. It's bad. At one point it's bad. The traffic situation on that road can be terrible. So, and there's the other second option of going through a longer route. But that route, the longer alternative is it's good roads most of the way, right? And I sit down and I try and look at the 2 options, evaluate the 2 options. First of all, when I'm evaluating my options, what's the objective of going to Ibadan? 1. 2, is it time bound? 3, what is the cost of me going to Ibadan, even if I were driving? Now, what I'm just trying to say is that the strategy is that plan. And my strategy is based on information. It has to be based on information. Strategy is always based on information. The how-to, before you decide on the how-to, you have to go through sequences of information. So what I will do now is to start with evaluating ideas. So whether you are about to start a business or whether you are already in a business, so you are in a business, you have grown your business to a certain level, and you are deciding that we either need to add a new product line or we need to add something else that will generate more income. Based on what we have done, we have seen opportunities to do this. So there are ideas. So I'll give an example. I'm a serial entrepreneur. So I go in and out. So the last entrepreneurship I ventured into was when I moved into an estate. Now, in that estate, there was a space which the estate had designated for a laundromat, and they were looking for someone to take it on. So I just paid for it, not sure that I was going to do that laundromat, because from what I was seeing did not suggest that we were ripe enough to have a laundromat. So what did I do? I paid for it. I knew that I was going to run a business, but what were the options that I had? What were the ideas? What exactly, why did I even pay for the shop in the first place? So basically I paid because I needed another income stream. I've always had different income streams. I needed another income stream, and I needed an income stream that was sustainable and scalable. That's very important for business. That as you're looking at your business and an idea, the first question you need to ask yourself is that, is it scalable? Can I replicate this? Can I replicate the business of either running a laundromat, or can I replicate a business of running an advertising agency, or can I replicate the business of running a bakery or running a catering outfit? So that is the first thing. What was it? Was it replicable? Was it scalable? And so I sat down. First of all, the estate only had, it's a small estate and only has 31 families. I asked myself, if I were to put a laundromat here, and so what I did in evaluating my idea here was to do a matrix. Now, there are different ways by which you can evaluate ideas, depending on where. So if you are a large company and you have a challenge where there are a lot of creative ideas that come in, there are other, there's a pass or fail evaluation, or you can use SWOT analysis, or for me, this thing is matrix. I just do a matrix. What is important to me? Time. So time to implement. What is the total cost of ownership of setting up this business? What is required? What are the resources that are required? Very, very important. What are the resources in terms of human resource, in terms of equipment resource? And more important for me, a business, is it something that can continue if I'm not there because, hey, I had a day job? So it meant I would not be around during the day. It also meant I will not be around sometimes because I traveled a lot. So all of these were very important to me. So by the time I did the matrix, I found out that while the laundromat idea was great, the truth of the matter was that many families within the estate already had washing machines. So you see, and how did I look? I had to set a survey. I sent a survey round. Do you already have a washing machine? Would you consider asking questions, very simple questions that will give me an idea of what was important for these families? And one thing was that a number of them had their washing machines. A number of them that didn't even have washing machines would not consider paying at a laundromat, especially in the estate where I was living. The cost of electricity was high. So it meant that whatever I was charging was going to be affected by the cost of electricity. So what was their willingness to pay if it was set at this. So anyway, after the survey and all of that, I put it in a matrix. And in the end, I decided not to go with the laundromat because it was going to be cost, the total cost of ownership was high because I needed to get equipment, new equipment, dryers, washing machines, and so on and so forth. Unfortunately, I didn't have that capital to do it. So I decided that what next? So in that same survey, I put in others like a mini mart. I mean, there was a mini mart. What will they consider to be something that will be required? And obviously a mini mart. So I went ahead and set up the mini mart. Now, a mistake that I did when I set up the mini mart was that I didn't ask the question that what are the products that you would like to see in the mini mart, right? And so I will stop there when I go into strategy, but that is it about evaluating ideas. In order to choose a business idea or a product idea, the most important thing to be able to do is to ensure that you gather as much information about the industry, information about the dynamics. What are you trying to do? Does it align with your vision? Remember, your strategy is the how-to of implementing that vision. Please, Itoro, if you, I'll just be checking in. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Yes, we can.
Excellent. Okay, good.
Yes.
So it's very important that your strategy is tied to your vision. Your vision is what it is that you want to become. Your vision is the picture of the future that you envisage or you desire in the business. So for instance, you said that we are going to become what? The producers, the quality producers. I see that there is a leather designer in the charts. In the session, we're going to be the best quality providers of leather goods in all of Africa. How are you going to do that? How are you going to deliver that? It's one thing to say it, it's another thing to build a strategy, a plan, an implementation plan. I think at times the word strategy can be overflowed. An implementation plan of how you are going to do that. And typically strategies, this implementation plan can be for 3 to 5 years. We typically say do one for 3 to 5 years. Now, when you are looking at your strategy, thinking about your strategy, there are many things that come into effect for doing that. Come into effect while planning this journey. And as I said again, I cannot underscore it. Information is very key. Information about the strategy includes your human resources. It includes your marketing plan. It includes your cost of doing business. It includes your branding. It includes a number of components about your business. So for instance, when I set up the mini mart, my strategy was to create a successful model that could be replicated. My vision was to be a chain of where people could buy trusted and quality items. So it was FMCG, your typical grocery items. Now, I said quality, I didn't say low priced, because I knew that as a mini mart, there was no way I could compete in pricing. And I was in an industry where pricing had already been fixed. So for instance, a bottle of Coke was 100 Naira. There is no how you can make it 120 Naira. You will not find customers that were willing to pay. It's 100 Naira is 100 Naira. So in this kind of, in this industry, what the target is how do I lower the costs of providing these services? Very, very important. So I had to now develop a strategic plan and think through it. Who are my customers? My customers are unfortunately the only people in my estate, 33 families, because outsiders were not allowed to come in. So that was my target customer. What is it that they require? Very important. What is it that they require? Because I cannot stock, I couldn't stock everything. I couldn't stock everything that you will find in the larger shops. But what was it that they would require on a day-to-day basis that they could come to the mini mart to implement, to buy? That was my customer segmentation. I even segmented them. Which of my customers were married? Which were single households? Which were households where the children had left? Because the people that buy more are those that have children. There's large families. The ones that the children have left will probably not buy. So these are the things that come in. And what I want all of us to visualize a road construction. I don't know how many of you have watched a road construction over time. It can be very irritating when roads, because it creates traffic backup. There are alternative routes. It's just destabilizing for months. But if you notice in road construction, what takes the time is the substructure. Is constructing what is under the road. The gutters, the drainage, the drainage channels and so on. And then, and fortifying them, right? With retaining walls. That is what takes time. So if a road construction was to take 12 months, I can tell you that out of that 12 months, 9 months will be spent on the substructure. These are proper highways. And then the remaining months, suddenly they finish and it looks like they've tagged it in a blinking of an eye. But it wasn't a blinking of an eye. It took a long time. It took time to build the substructure. It's the same thing when you are about to start a business. It's the kind of work that you have to do. And even when you are in a business, the kind of work you have to keep doing. You cannot say, it gets easier as you get to know the dynamics of your industry, dynamics of your customers or your clients. But a lot of work is done under, and that work is harnessed by what? Information, asking the right questions. Now, when I did that, the first mistake I made before I realized I had to go back to the drawing board in the mini mart was to stock the mini mart with what we call imported items. So someone who had a supermarket was selling off, she was relocating and was selling off the goods that were in her supermarket. And I just enthusiastically said, oh, I will buy them off you. First mistake, because that was not what my customers wanted. The first time someone entered the shop, says, why are you stocking this thing with all these imported items? We don't need these things. And in the end, I had to change it because in my question answering, while I knew that what they wanted, I did not ask what their brands were. So if they had said Unilever, or if they had said P&G, or if they had said UAC, that will have directed my this thing. But I didn't. So I stocked it with all kinds of imported tomato pasta, tomato sauce for pasta, imported toothpaste, imported biscuits. And I can tell you for the first 3 months, those things were there without leaving the shelves. Because the customers I had, or my target customers, that was not what they wanted. And something about strategy again, or that implementation plan in place, is that it must be flexible. You cannot fall in love with your strategy because you must be dynamic. You must be able to change immediately. You see that something isn't working here. It's always important. You cannot be too in love and hug your strategy and say, oh, this is a good strategy. Yeah, it may be a good strategy, but it can change. Very, very important. You must be flexible. Remember that you are building an asset. Your business must be an asset. You are building an asset. You are not just building something. You are building something that will generate income, will be scalable, and what? Repeatable. And it can take time. But that's what a strategy does. It keeps us focused. So it kept me focused. What next can I do? And every month, you have to go back to that strategy plan and look at it and say, where am I now? I mean, was this realistic? Has this been a change in the, has there been a change in the dynamics of the environment? So for instance, COVID-19 came. It was unplanned. We all know that. Some people were able immediately were that flexible and able to, adjust their strategy to ensure that they leverage the opportunities that period provided. Some were not able to do so for various reasons. But something about strategy is that it must, or your plan or your implementation plan, like I like to call it for simpler distance, is that it must be flexible. Dr. Itoro, am I at 10 minutes so I can allow questions? Sorry, you're muted.
Yes, you are. At the moment, we don't have questions, but we'll try and take those questions at the end. Maybe we'll take the two presentations and we'll take the questions at the end.
That's fine. Okay. So it's very important that you keep an eye on that plan. Like I said, strategy plans are usually between 3 and 5 years. I like 3 years because it means, but even though it's 3 years, yearly you have a session where you look at your learnings from the previous year. Where are we now? Are we closer to getting to where we want to get to? And all of that. But it's always important to keep your eye, while you are running the business, keep your eye not only on the strategy, but on the environment of doing business. It's very important. Very, very important.
Okay, so we have a question. We have from Samira Farouk. In terms of brand awareness of a new product, how can the target market be convinced to buy your product since it is new? What kind of marketing can be done? And is it too much marketing? Is there anything like too much marketing?
In terms of brand awareness, so question, what is this product? There are many questions you need to answer. What is this product that you are selling? What is the unique selling proposition of this product? What is it supposed to solve? Remember, we say that every business idea is solving a problem. A business idea that is not solving a problem is not a good business idea. It has to be solving a problem, because in the solution of that problem lies your value proposition for which you would. So for instance, we have the cleaning agents, the powdered agents, and you see all of them say, oh, for colored only, because we knew that 10 years ago, when you use some of these cleaning agents to wash colored items or colored clothing, they tend to fade. So colored clothing tends to fade. So one of the unique USP for one of the products, the first product that came out and said for colored clothes, was that your colored clothes will not fade when you use or when you wash using this detergent. So the question would be, they can only be convinced to buy if there is a value proposition, and if there is solving a problem. Marketing, another question is, who are your target audience? You must always have a target audience. There must always be a target audience. And this is part of your strategic plan. Who is your target audience? And what platforms do your target audience? So for instance, if your target audience are those that sell in micro retail or in the market, what do they listen to? Then you may have to go to the market and set up an experiential desk to show them what's the value for them to buy and resell your product. But the marketing plan depends on who your target is. It the youth? Then if it's youth, if you have a youth, if it's a youth segment that you are targeting, what is it that the youth listen to? Where do they go to get information? If it's the older segment, sorry, Dr. Itoro, it looks like you wanted to say something.
Yeah, maybe I would like you to round up. We've almost taken some of the other questions towards the end. And
that's fine. So what I said about strategy is really a plan as to where we are going. What's that desire? How are we going to get to that desired future? And evaluating ideas, like I said, it's a lot of information. You cannot arrive at it just by saying, oh, I think this will work. It works for so and so. No, you have to be willing to get into the trenches, dirty your fingers, and get in there, right? To gather as much information as you can. Thank you very much. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you, Ayokanmi. We will be taking some of the questions towards the end. But just before we get to our next speaker, I would like to bring up Nanko Madu from AfriLabs to say one or two things. Nanko, over to you.
Hello, hi, Itoro, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, hi Itoro, hello everyone. I'm sending my greetings to the 77 of you from AfriLabs. We're really excited about this project that TechQuest and Junub are organizing, and we're really pleased to be here, just listening to the first speaker. I'm so excited and impressed at the kind of knowledge that you guys
I think we're having some connectivity issues, Nanko. It's not so clear.
So well done, and to TechQuest and Junub, and really happy to be here. So very quickly, like Itoro said, my name is
Hello, Nanko. Nanko. Hello, Nanko. Okay, I think we've lost Nanko there for a bit. Okay, apologies for the connectivity issues. I hope we'll get that sorted out. And then before we take more questions, we will go on to our second speaker, just so that we keep to time. Katlego, over to you.
Good morning, and thank you so much for having me. Maybe let me just kind of introduce myself and what I do. My name is Katlego Mokgethi. I'm from Botswana, and it's quite an honor to be here on behalf of Southern Africa to say, you know, as the world is changing and we're going through COVID-19 and we are literally faced with a global reset, it's really an opportune time for Africa to unite. So it's quite exciting to have a platform like this, so that as we move on, it doesn't seem so far-fetched to do business with entrepreneurs in Nigeria and South Sudan, and it's the same for them to do business here in Botswana. So this is quite an exciting platform, and I just want to applaud TechQuest and its partners, its strategic partners, for putting this together, and encourage the female entrepreneurs to make full use of it, attend the sessions throughout the 3-month period, because it really presents a great opportunity for you to grow and to network and to, you know, blaze the trails. Right now, it's really a viable, and, like, you know, the soils are very fertile because things are changing drastically and over a short period of time. So it's really a great time for you to strategically position yourselves, especially now that Africa is now trading under the AfCFTA, which has really made Africa one market. So as you start your businesses, you do your ideation and your strategy, I want you to be boundless in your approach. Don't just think South Sudan, don't just think Nigeria, think Africa, think the rest of the world. We're looking at 7 billion people in the world. When you do your business, don't think only where you are. Think, set your eyes in the stars, you know. Think wild, and just don't limit yourself. So I'm going to try not to repeat what the first speaker has already said, but essentially I'll be speaking in line to what she did present on, in terms of business strategy and evaluating a business idea. So first of all, I just want to talk to you guys about purpose-driven entrepreneurship. You know, entrepreneurship is very hard, and, you know, you'll face so many challenges that will push you to the edge and you want to give up. But if you center your business on purpose, when you're trying to solve an actual problem, then through all those struggles, those curveballs, you will still stand still because you'll be driven by purpose. So it's very important that when you formulate your idea, you're not just thinking, I want to make money, because that alone will not sustain you through the challenges. And essentially, in entrepreneurship, it's really a mind over matter kind of situation. So you need to ensure that as you formulate your idea, it is driven by something bigger than just wanting to make profits. What problem are you trying to solve in your communities, in your economy? That way you're able to sustain it and you're able to see it through. So during the ideation stage, it's very critical for you to do your market research and ensure that as you formulate your idea, you are customer centric. You know, nowadays customers are very, very smart because people are abreast with everything. You know, back in the days, you would just come up with something and force it down a customer's throat and they'll probably buy. But nowadays, customers are very informed. So you need to convince them why they need to put money in your product, why this actually solves any problem for them, and why they have to buy your product or your service over the competitors. So it's very critical that your approach to ideation is customer centric. It actually solves an actual problem. It satisfies the needs of the customers. Now, for you to be able to do that, you need to understand the needs of the customer. What do your end user really need? What problems are they facing? That way, when you formulate an idea or a solution, and you now move on towards building a prototype and testing it in the market, you've actually done your background research to understand that what exactly is it that I'm solving. So if you're going to, for example, do a skincare oil from natural products. For example, here in Botswana, we've got an abundance of indigenous fruits like murula. And from the murula, you can actually extract murula oil, which is good for, it has so many benefits. It's kind of like an essential oil. So if you're going to do something like that, you need to be looking at your market. Do people really need it? Do people have problem maybe with their skin problem? What is it exactly that they're struggling with? How do I sell it to them? So that is a very critical stage that you don't want to rush through. And most of the time as entrepreneurs, we are just excited about an idea and we want to start implementing. Take your time, engage the customer, do your research. Nowadays, information is so abundant online, and where we used to maybe have to do like a physical on the ground market research, you don't necessarily need to do that, because you can just do your desktop research and ensure that you engage with the customers, do your polls. You can just get on Twitter and ask people, what are you struggling with? If I did something of this nature, would you buy it? Ask them whatever you need to ask them. Customers are always willing to give you the information, and then you solve that problem. Sometimes, the needs of the customers are actually latent in that the customer doesn't actually even realize that they've got that need. So you need to do the observation process of saying, okay, let me observe the market and come up with a solution that the end user is actually going to start realizing that they need it once they see it. So you have to do that observation, do that research. It's very, very critical before you even start moving towards coming up with an actual idea or a solution. So your idea is essentially the solution to the problem. So you need to try to come up with as many ideas as possible, and then measure which one is the best. So if you've got one idea and you try one idea, then what if that fails? Try to, once you've established the problem that you're trying to solve, that is customer centric, you now come up with at least even 10 ideas. It's not such a bad idea. And then start moving towards now doing your SWOT analysis, doing your STP strategy, where you look at your segmentation, your targeting, and your positioning of the market to see, is it viable? Now, this is the most critical part now, where now you start to look at the practicality of applying, because now you're going to select the idea that is actually viable and feasible. So it's very critical that your idea, as you evaluate it, you check that it cuts across three very critical segments. Is it economically viable? This means that, does it generate income? Can it actually make money? Right now, if you're looking to an investor, the investor needs to know that if I was to put money in your business so that you've got capital and you can start it, you can actually 10x it, So you need to prove to any financier beyond reasonable doubt that your business is actually economically viable. It can actually generate income and it can make good margins. And then the second one will be technical feasibility. Your idea could be so brilliant and really nice and exciting, but if it's not feasible in that it's not practical, it's near impossible to logistically do it or roll it out, then it's fruitless. So you have to chuck away that kind of idea and look into the other ideas to see which one can actually be rolled out effectively. And then the third thing that you're going to look at is market desirability. So maybe your product, your idea is good, but it's pointless if it's not going to be desirable to the consumer, if the people will not be willing to put their money on it. So those are things that you need to check. You need to ensure that if we are to draw a Venn diagram, the idea that you pick must cut across all these three segments. It should be the one that is economically viable, it should be technically feasible and desirable to the market. Then you can now start moving towards the strategy of implementation, because during those ideation stage, you're also the ideation stage where you're also doing your market research and trying to establish what business you want to enter into. You need to be driven by vision. What is it that exactly you want to achieve? And these are things that answers that you are able to get when you do your market research and engage your customers. Now, once you build your vision, and as I said, it's very critical that it's purpose driven. You need to be looking to solve a real problem, and I would encourage you to go for something that you're very passionate about. For example, I'm into real estate, and the reason why I've been able to grow through the 5 years, it's really because I love what I do. And when I fail, it doesn't frustrate me out of it. Why? Because when I started it, I loved it and I knew why I wanted to do it. What problems is it that I wanted to solve? So that is very critical. Now that's when you can start moving to strategy. And then you've got your objectives, you've got your deliverables. It's very important that you know what exactly now you are trying to achieve, because for you to achieve your vision, you need to set those objectives. The objectives help you drive towards the vision, and your strategy now is essentially what is delivering the objectives. You know, so the strategy needs to lead to that business growth. It needs to lead you to market share, to being competitive, and it needs to lead you to the bottom line. You need to now be making money. So that's essentially it. If you've got, you've evaluated your idea, it needs to now tie down to your strategy, your implementation, your approach. That's where you start looking at things like your marketing mix. You look at your product to say, okay, now how do I market this product? How do I price this product? How do I promote this product? Now, you can only answer these questions if you've answered the critical ones of who am I serving? Who's my target market? What is the major lack? And then through those processes, you're also able to establish your unique selling point, because people don't want to put money in something that already exists. Again, I'll tie it back to the issue of purpose and authenticity. You know, these are things that make you that give you that unique selling point, because now you're going to be coming with a solution that's differentiated from the rest of the market. So these are things that I would like for you guys to look into and ensure that as you evaluate your strategy, you are actually leading towards growing your business, getting greater market share, that is being the best in the market, competition wise, and of course financial performance. So for me, I started my real estate business in 2016. We'll be turning 5 in April this year, and what I can tell you is business is merciless, for a lack of a better word. So, you know, I know right now it's become so decorated that the world is, the future is female and all of that. And that's a great thing. And be that as it may, the reality on the ground is it's not going to be easier because you're a female entrepreneur. If anything, it's going to even be worse. So I've found in my experiences that business didn't even care that I'm female and I'm young and I'm black and I'm all of those things that are boxes that usually it's check. She's a young female entrepreneur and she's black, so she must be getting better opportunities. Nope, it was not like that for me. I've never received external funding since I started my business. I had to fund it from pocket. So I took the severance pay that I got from my last job and started the business from that. And when I started the business, I was in school because I had to get licenses to practice as a real estate agent. So, you know, it was so challenging. And my approach to that has always been, because I was being driven by purpose, by my ideas. My idea was based on trying to solve a problem of, you know, real estate in Botswana is very expensive, and you find a lot of estate agents that are not even licensed, that are fly by night, so they extort money from people. There's so many challenges like that, and also the offering in the market. I would find that, you know, you've got the kind of properties that are not smart investments. And I saw a lot of Botswana just buying property that is so expensive, but it's neither income generating and it just doesn't make sense for them. And we're as an African country, we are all faced with these challenges of we are first generation entrepreneurs. We are first generation, you're probably the first person to get a decent job in your family. So every investment you make, it needs to be about building a legacy. And I found that there was a lot of people just buying property that didn't make sense, or they will buy a property, build a big house, and it doesn't generate income. What they're doing now is paying a mortgage for 25 years. So it didn't necessarily emancipate them economically. So you still think, okay, no, I've got my pay, I can use it however way I want, but your money is tied to a bank for 25 years and it's not generating any income. So you don't even technically own that property for those 25 years. So for me, I wanted to come up with an approach of saying, let's focus on smart growth. If you've got a small piece of land, how do you ensure that this land generates income and it becomes part of a legacy building and inclusive growth and breaking cycles of poverty, of generational cycles of poverty in your family. This is my approach to business. And these are things that keep me going, because it's bigger than just selling a house and selling an office. It's trying to solve greater issues that are behind that, so that's our approach. And we've kept on re-strategizing. And as the first speaker has said, strategy changes. It changes in response to the market factors. So if you find yourself, if you find that your strategy is neither leading to business growth or market share or improving your bottom line, you need to re-strategize. So you don't stick to one strategy for 3, 5, 10 years. No. For me, in the 5 years that I've been here, I've been doing business. I've actually changed my strategy so many times. But the one thing that has not changed has been my vision. And I've stuck to wanting to do what I wanted to do since 2016. But what I've constantly done is change my approach, because I allowed myself to fail. So I want to encourage you guys, as you do the ideation stage, even when you're doing your market research, allow yourself to fail early and fail many times. It's okay. Allow yourself to fail. Allow yourself to repeat the process of going through the research again, coming up with the best idea, doing a prototype if need be, depending on what line of business you are. If it doesn't make any sense, roll it over again. I failed so many times. I've lost money in the process, and it's just how the cookie crumbles. So you will lose, you will fail, and you will fall down so many times, and it will frustrate you. But I can't emphasize this enough. For as long as your business is centered on purpose, your idea is centered on solving a real problem that you are very passionate about, and you're trying to change something, all of those things won't deter you. They will actually sharpen you to keep going. So last year, we actually restructured again when COVID-19 hit. When we started, we were real estate and business development, but we restructured our business development to form it into an entrepreneurship development program. Why? Because we realized that this is what the entrepreneurs need. Initially, as business development agency, we would formulate market strategies only. But we realized that the problem with entrepreneurs, because we wanted to reduce the failure rate of entrepreneurs in Botswana. And what we realized is the problem is not just market strategy, it's business acumen. So we had to come with something that was end-to-end. It solved the marketing issues, the operational issues, and the financial issues. And one of the biggest problems we have here is that when you get your first big check, you want the cars, the good life, the nice suits, and then you start literally crippling your business. And these are the problems that we are faced with here in Botswana. And we had to re-strategize and say, the problem here is not marketing. The problem is business acumen. So let's change our strategy and deal with the business acumen aspect of it. So it's been an exciting journey. And once again, please, let's ensure that you are purpose-driven. You need to be trying to change something, improve lives, have impact in your approach. Thank you so much, Dr. Itoro, for having me.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Katlego. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I think we've learned a lot today. And please, if you have questions for either Katlego or Ayokanmi, please put your questions in the chat box and we will take that. And if you still want to have questions later on, we could also forward those questions to them. I think we've learned quite a lot from both of you today. And some of the things that I have taken away, and I think it's also important to summarize and highlight, is the importance of getting information and feeling the pulse of the market. Make sure that you are trying to solve a problem, bridge a gap. And also, I think it was very important, and I think both speakers touched on it, that there is a need to be very dynamic. Strategies might have to change. So we don't have to hold on to a particular strategy just because it worked at a time. Because the market is changing, needs are changing. we need to be very dynamic about that. We need to consider the cost of entry. So our business ideas could be great, but then we need to consider the cost of entry. Is it bridging a gap? Is it solving a problem? So thank you very, very much for that. Thank you very much, Katlego. Thank you, Ayokanmi. So if you have any questions for them, please put it in the chat box and we will take that. I know we are running out of time. We'll see if we could take 1 or 2 questions before we go. So I'll just check in. Do we have any questions there? So I think most of the comments are just expressing the appreciation of the works that you're both doing in your different capacities. So please take time to ask your questions, and we could also still forward it to Katlego and Ayokanmi. And I think we've all gained insights into the different aspects of how to go about evaluating ideas and business strategy. So I think maybe we should end it here. But before we go, do you have 1 or 2 things to say in summary? I'll start with Ayokanmi.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Ituru. And kudos to all who were able to make this call. As Katlego said, this is an amazing opportunity to learn. And I will also join her in encouraging you in leveraging all the nuggets, because what you are getting from this training for the next 3 months is pure gold. It's an opportunity that many do not have. So leverage it as much. Make sure you leverage it. Make sure you squeeze it. You squeeze the last drop of juice from this program. Squeeze it, because it is very important. As Katlego said, the business environment, and it's not just in Nigeria, it's all over Africa. Business environments can be hostile, very hostile. Apart from the economic environment, we have to deal with the macroeconomic environment again, because everything is tied to. But the most important thing is that think of your playing ground as Africa, not just Nigeria or Ghana or Sudan. It's Africa. Your playing ground is Africa. So that makes, what does that mean? It means your research becomes doubly, you have more work to do when it comes to research. So you're not only researching in Nigeria, you're also researching outside Nigeria or outside Sudan or outside Botswana. Just go beyond. There are no borders now. ACFA has ensured that borders have come down. Go beyond the borders. Dare to do that. And I'm sure, honestly speaking, I'm looking forward to reading the results of this particular session in terms of increase in income, numbers of businesses formed, and yes, thank you very much, and have a wonderful day.
Thank you, Ayokanmi. Thank you. Katlego, if you have one or 2 things to just add to that, and I think we have one question. If you could tie in a response to that while you're at it, they said, how do you know when is the right time to launch your business?
Yeah, there's no such thing as the right or wrong time. The time is now. Now is always the best time to launch your business, because if you wait too much, let me tell you, there's so much that you can't learn on the sidelines. You need to enter the field of play. You can read the books, you can listen to a seminar like this, but I can assure you the lessons that are going to hone your business acumen and prepare you for the reality on the ground is you being on it. So that's why I was saying, for me, I allowed myself to fail. And I failed so many times. I lost so many things. I lost my assets, I lost money, I lost. And it was not an easy process. But what I you know, the most priceless thing is the lesson. Right now, when you say, let's talk business, I know what I'm talking about because I've been thrown to the deep end and I had to swim with the sharks. So in parting, what I can say is, you know, the truth is the marketplace doesn't care that you are female. It doesn't care that you are Black. It doesn't care that you are African. It doesn't care about any of that. In the marketplace, it's dog eat dog. And you need to prepare yourself to compete. And that is why it's critical for you to go through all of these stages. That's what big corporates do. They don't become big corporates because they cut corners. They do their research. They evaluate. They ask questions. They engage the customer. They put money in it. You need to put skin in the game. Put money in it. If you have to do a prototype and it requires money, skin in the game. If you have to look for a piece job, doing gardening, doing babysitting, doing whatever to create pocket money for you to build your prototype and when presented to an investor, do that. Don't try to cut corners. For you to be able to make it as a giant in the world economy, you need to be competitive. No one is going to make it easier for you. And, you know, as I said, platforms like this, leverage them. I never got an opportunity for an entrepreneurship development program. Dr. Itoro, I think had I gotten an opportunity like this, I would have maybe not made some of the mistakes that I made. And, you know, that's one of the reasons that we also got our market players here in Botswana, the entrepreneurship development program, because we are trying to make it easier for the next generation. I don't want them to go through the very things that I went through. So it's very critical for you guys to take advantage for the platforms like this because they're meant for you to have it a lot easier than we had to get bent so many times. So thank you so much for having me, and I'm excited to be part of this program. Anything you need, anytime, I'm here.
Thank you very much. We are having some questions coming up right now. I don't know if you want to quickly address them.
Yes.
We have two questions for Ayokanmi and one for you, Katlego. Ayokanmi, the first question is, what are the things to look for during a feasibility study? And then the second one is, in respect to getting raw materials for suppliers, how do you expand the supplier base? Is there a network of suppliers for agro products and packaging?
Okay, so in terms of a feasibility study, what is the objective of a feasibility study? A feasibility study is just saying, is it possible?
Yeah.
Right? Is it possible? Does this what we are thinking about? Is there a possibility for success? That's what a feasibility study aims to do. And in doing a feasibility study, it requires that we understand both the micro environment and the macro environment. So typically what I know that the template used is what they call the PESO, right? In a feasibility study. So you go through the political environment, the economic environment, socio-economic, and I think technology. I don't know what the L is for and the E. Right?
I think the L is legal and E is environmental.
Environmental, exactly. So those are the components of a feasibility study. Putting your idea in all of that is just an understanding of your environment. There's your micro and your macro. Some will use a SWOT analysis, right? Some will use a SWOT analysis. So what is the strength of doing business in, say, in Botswana or in Ghana, right? What are the strengths? Is there a customer base? What are the weaknesses? What are the opportunities? What are the threats? Something you got, as people go out, set out to set up businesses, please do not ignore the regulatory environment. Very, very important.
Yes.
Government policies, they change like water, so that you don't get caught up in it. So those are the components. And then talking about agro, yes. So in terms of, so what you're talking about is supply. He's asking about supply of his raw material, right?
Yes, agro products and suppliers for that and packaging.
Oh yes, typically they are associations. So we work in the agricultural sector, in my day job, and there are associations, groups and cooperatives that have been set up that aggregate the product. So it depends on the product. In this case, I'm not even sure what the product is or what raw material is required, but it's aggregated. And I mean, some businesses have solved that problem by what you call an outgrower scheme. So you have your own, you support your own group of producers. So you go and target about 50 people producing that raw material, and you support them in terms of financing and so on, and then you offtake the product from them. Some people want to have a degree of control. So it really depends on where you are in the business, what control you want to have on the supply of your raw material in terms of quality. So there are many things to think about when you are talking about supplier, what we call supplier relationship management. I hope that answers that question. Yeah.
Okay, I think that covers that. And I think the last question that we will take today is for Katlego. So they said, how do project one reaches a mature audience in Africa to sell something like health supplements?
How to reach the market?
Yes, how to reach like a mature audience. So I think now they are trying to target a specific group of people.
Okay. I think when it comes to natural products, one of the key things that you need to get in order is the quality management, because the quality management system throughout your production processes, because they need to ensure that your product is certified, to ensure that they're not consuming something that might not meet that might not be healthy or not meet the quality standards. So there are actually international standards that you need to ensure that the ISOs, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, ISO 9000, that kind of stuff. Just make sure that you check, because it varies. For example, if you're looking in Africa, Africa will have, or a specific state will have its own requirements. SACU might have its own requirements, and maybe the other side of Africa might. And then if you look at America, where there's this Africa Growth Opportunities Agreement, AGOA is very specific in the technical regulations. You need to meet the FDA requirements and all of that. So if you can get that paperwork done, then it's easier for you to market your product, because you can make use of the trade agreement. If you are signed with your countries, the ones that facilitating trade in your country, then they're able to link you to the market. Usually they'll do this market days, they'll do these activations where they will have entrepreneurs like yourselves to reach that market. But I think the most important thing also is to not just wait for government to facilitate these things. This is something that I'd like to emphasize on. Now you can literally just get on Facebook, get on LinkedIn and create a contact. Test the market, talk to people, things like that. Right now, as I'm talking to you, I'm in South Africa, but I'm based in Botswana. Why am I in South Africa? Testing the market, exploring the market, networking, to check if my business or my ideas can be viable this side of Africa. And from South Africa, I'm not just gonna sit here. I want to test the market in Windhoek and all of that. So you need to put yourself out there. You've got a product, you've got it certified, you've tested it, you've proven that it actually meets the needs, or it's a safe product and what have you. Then it is for you now to go out there and look for the market. But as I said, here in Botswana, we've been privileged that we've got this government institutions that help identify markets, and they'll have market days, and all these things make it easier for you to access a greater market for as long as you've done your groundwork. So, at the end of the day, you need to do your work.
So can I add to that, Dr. Itoro, to say that there are also what you call corporations between countries. Like you have the Nigerian, German, Nigerian, British. There are corporations between countries and in Africa that, and these corporations rather, already have all the information that you want if you want to do business and invest or spread your business into that country. So I know there's Nigerian Ghana Corporation, there's Nigeria, South Africa, you know, so they are I mean, you can leverage on that, and it's all on the internet. You'll find it on the internet as a source of information.
Yeah.
Okay.
The information is there.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I know that we'll have a couple of more questions coming up, but I think we need to round up the session. If you have any other questions, you can still put in your questions and we'll send it to Katlego and Ayokanmi and we'll get back to you on those. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you very much, Ayokanmi. Thank you, Katlego. We really appreciate it. And they would also be part of the mentors that you could also book appointments and schedule appointments with them. So thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.